Hey guys, welcome to the Save Continue podcast, where every week we get together, or every other week we get together and talk about video games and video game related stuff. My name is Shanae Howard. With me, as always, is Ryan Robinson.
Hi, actually, my name is Ryan Slick Willie Robinson now.
Sorry, with me, as always, is Ryan Slick Willie Robinson.
Thank you.
Like from World Industries?
No, it's just I have a famously wet penis.
Oh, sure. You
And
remember Slick Willie though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a couple of restaurants in town named Slick Willie's, but or are they pool halls? There's another Willie's. Anyways, and
That's
the other
Wet
voice.
Williams.
And the other voice you hear is Tommy Shelby.
Hello.
So guys, what have y'all been playing and up to since last time we talked?
Let's see. I've been playing. What have I been playing? I finished Necromunda Hired Gun. That was a lot of fun. I played through Battlefield 1's campaign. That was a lot of fun. And I started playing Returnal finally.
Cool.
Now that I finished Necromunda, I was like, okay, it's time to start Returnal. And I'm having fun with it, but man, I am terrible at it. But I'm enjoying it though. I can consistently get to that first boss,
Yeah.
and I can consistently get him down to his last health bar,
Yeah.
but I never go the distance.
Yeah, you'll have that run where the items that you pick up along the way will sync up in just the way you need to make that happen.
Yeah.
Um,
To be fair, I've only maybe spent an hour with it.
Sure.
But,
sure.
you know.
That second boss is way harder, but way cooler.
Yeah.
So,
And then I've been playing a bunch of. So if you don't know what E1M1 is, it's a magazine. It's a first-person shooter magazine. Did I already talk about this?
no.
No. Okay, so they did a game jam that ended a couple of weeks ago. So if you go on itch.io, you can like find all these first-person shooters, and I've been playing through a bunch of those. They're all, small first-person shooter projects that were made in a couple of weeks. But there's some
Any that
fun
stand
stuff
out?
there. Yeah, what the fuck is the game called? I can't remember what it's called, but it's like
I wish that was the
something
actual
womb,
title.
like unholy womb or something like that. I don't know. You're going around, there's vaginas and labias and flabias all over the place, you know? Uh,
Flabians.
You
yeah,
like shooting women's genitals? Is that what this is?
yeah, it's fun. Uh, and I played two demos. I played a demo for a game called Severed Steel, in which you play an amputee. It's a first-person shooter where you play an amputee, but like there's bullet time, which is super fun always, and the y-axis is unlocked, which not enough shooters do, and that's super fun too. Uh, and then and then oh, Agent 64. Agent 64. So if you've seen like Dark Data is like a successor to like GoldenEye Perfect Dark, right? But like it's just multiplayer. It's just local multiplayer for that matter. Like only split screen. That's it. You
Yeah.
can't play the game online.
No screen peeks.
Uh, Agent 64 is like, well, let's have some fucking the campaign, and that's what it is. It's fucking GoldenEye Perfect Dark campaign. It's fantastic.
Cool.
Yeah,
I like those things.
and that's it really.
You Ryan?
Well, as for things that I've been up to, I haven't really talked about it on the show very much, but I'm getting pretty actively into game development and kind of doing a lot of like self-learning and stuff like that. I'm actually learning how to put together a design doc, which is very important for the structure of really any software. But basically, I've got this game concept going, and I've compiled a design doc for it, and now I'm actually getting into uh, designing a few different things with it. So that's been fun. But as far as what I've been playing, So Guilty Gear Strive came out since the last time we recorded, and that game is really, really great so far. I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's definitely different than my like. I don't have a lot of experience with Guilty Gear outside of Revelator 2. That's really the one Guilty Gear game that I've played like in any meaningful amount of time. But even after going from that to Strive, it feels significantly different, just as far as like combos work and the general flow of combat. But it's really, really cool. I've played a good amount of matches online. The experience, like the netcode, is just, it's like, it does feel like someone is sitting like the other person I'm playing is sitting next to me in the same room. That's how good it feels.
Nice.
And yeah, I've gotten together with a few friends. I joined this this online group of people who just want to play that. So now like I have like a dedicated group of people to play the game with. So that's been a lot of fun. Also, I did finish Yakuza 4, and I started Yakuza 5. I'm actually a good amount into. I'm like in the 4th chapter of Yakuza 5. Yeah, I'm really into these games. Like I love playing.
It's your stuff.
It's like
You better slow down because you're gonna run out soon, and then what?
Oh, then I play other video games. That's the plan. Is after I finish Yakuza, I play other video games. That's what I'm probably.
He's gonna restart his series over.
I mean,
Sure.
I could do that. But yeah, there's like Yakuza 5 is interesting because of all the games I've played, this game has like the most like systems going on with it. So
Do you like that?
Wait, like of all the Yakuza games you've played,
yes,
or of just all games?
That's what I meant. I meant of all the
Okay.
Yakuza games I've played. So the other games, like for the most part, they have you just kind of like walking around the city and like doing like side missions and also like doing stuff for the main story. And like pretty much everything happens like on foot, but like now Yakuza 5 has like you're doing a lot of driving, mostly because like in this game Kiryu is for reasons I won't spoil for anybody who's looking to play this, he's a taxi driver now. And so like there are taxi driver missions that you're doing, which are also part of like a whole other story arc. And then
You love Crazy Taxi.
it is not that, but what it does feel like though, because there's sections where like there's a storyline where these street racers start challenging you like in your taxi cab. So you're like there are sections where you're on the freeway like racing them, and if anybody's listening who has played any of the Initial D games, it feels like a very stripped down version of Initial D, which is cool. But so there's a whole storyline with that. But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with it. There's a direction that the story is taking that I feel is probably going to make me very sad, but because the deeper you go into Yakuza, the more it focuses on like Kiryu being a fighting dad, and there's some stuff going on between him and the kids that he used to take care of that's kind of like going in like a really sad direction. So I'm hoping that gets resolved in a nice way. And I have also just been playing Knockout City with my wife. That is the game that gets played, I think, the most around here. But other than that, that's basically it.
Have you and your wife played Knockout City with Tom since last time we talked?
They haven't even invited me.
That is not true. That is not true.
I
have no. Hold on. I actually have evidence of me having invited Tom.
Let me see it.
Okay, hold on.
It's not gonna hold up in court.
It's not.
Okay,
It is not.
hold on. Let me.
Oh, I forgot. Here's some screenshots of Agent 64.
Nice.
Looking all golden eye.
That does look pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm scrolling.
Thank you for your slideshow.
I'm scrolling through the text.
All right. Well, while
Don't
you do that,
flash my personal things on the internet, Ryan.
Like what?
put his nudes on there.
Ryan's never seen my nudes. He's seen me nude.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen him.
Yeah, I've seen him.
Anyway, look, I don't have to defend myself here. It's like Tom knows what the truth is. So
No, you see, what happened is they invited me one time, Shanae, when I was like practically in bed because I had to go to work the next morning.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I guess
I'm
count.
supposed to say, okay, I'll play with you. Fuck my bills. You know?
Sure.
Did they know?
That's fair.
It's your
That's fair.
bedtime? Did
They
they?
do.
Had you
They
had
do.
you informed him before you
Yeah.
invited? Like, hey, I'm gonna go to bed in 15 minutes, and then he
Yeah.
invited you.
Pretty
Okay.
much.
Okay, so that's leading the witness, number one. Secondly, I mean but it is fair. I did message.
I was trying to say
when I messaged
out.
Tom when I messaged Tom, you know, he was like, "Hey, I've got to go to work. It's kind of late."
And you know when I work,
and
because
so-
it hasn't changed for 6 years.
So I get that. That's a fair point.
So, yeah.
Counterpoint, however, is if Tom is interested in playing, there is nothing stopping him from initiating that as well, right?
I'm not interested anymore.
Okay, so then it's a moot point now.
Game sucks.
Yeah, because he's been burned too many times.
Exactly.
I have been. I beat Bird by numbers. Me and Birdo beat It Takes Two. I still can't speak about how much we actually did really enjoy that game.
You did not enjoy it?
Well, how much we really did enjoy that game.
Oh, okay.
Even with the monster daughter and some scarring scenes in there.
That sounds like a good name for a movie, Monster Daughter.
I have one of those.
I think Disney Channel has Monster Daughter 1, 2, and 3 already out.
Cool.
Yeah, so we did that. I ended up getting the Famicom Detective series on Switch, and I started that. But for the last 2 weeks, my mom was in the same state as staying with my sister out of state. So we set up on Thursday nights to play Mario Party together. Now that we can do the Mario Party like online stuff with like different variations of like people's. And I think I'm bad at Mario Party.
You're not. Let me tell you something. You're talking about the newest Mario Party? The one on
Yeah.
Switch?
I made sure
That Mario Party sucks. You know?
What's so bad
I've
about
been making
it?
sure that I don't.
What's bad about it is like there's been an element of like randomness to all Mario parties, right? But in this newest Mario Party, you can be on top the entire time and at the very end fucking lose for some bullshit reason.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not what's happening. I'm losing. All right, so the first week we played partners. It was me and Berto versus my mom and sister, and we won. And I think we ended up playing 2 games, and I think we won 1, they won 1, and like they just like smidged by. So this time, Berto couldn't make it, so it was just all of us against each other. And like there were some mini games, even the computer was beating me, and that's just embarrassing.
Yeah, that is embarrassing.
Yeah, you should
You
be
should be
embarrassed.
embarrassed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I even made sure I didn't have the left Joy-Con, so I didn't have to worry about that drift or anything. And yeah, I think I might be bad at Mario Party.
Sure.
That's
That's a funny game to be bad at.
I mean, I'm bad at other games. We just don't have time for me to list all of them.
Sure.
But I played like literally like about 10 minutes of Persona, and I was like, I'm gonna beat this. Crashed out. And then haven't tried that again. And then I've been doing jigsaw puzzles, and I'm gonna close on a house here in a couple weeks. So yeah, it's been a pretty busy time. I have been.
Nice.
I also like. Apparently, I'm just gonna start getting in arguments with everybody all the time.
Cool.
But I did get into.
As you do.
Yeah, edgy Shanae.
Yeah. Call me Call me edgelord, or just lord. It's fine. Uh, but we're talking about with the new Breath of the Wild sequel coming out, they're like, "Oh, I've been waiting like too long for this," and I was like, "The last one came out like 4 years ago. What do you mean you've
Yeah.
been waiting too long for this?" And about how like if they're going to use the same like engine and like similar graphics, like they shouldn't use an entire regular game life cycle. And I was like, I don't think 4 years, or it's going to come out in 22 is like, or 5 years is an unreasonable time at all. I don't want like the people making it and like on crunch, and I'd rather like as we've talked on the show, like wait for a better game than like just have them every other year.
I mean,
But
historically, when a game series reuses assets, that next game comes out within the next year. But I do agree with what you're saying, though.
yeah, like I mean, we've done multiple shows on it. I really love that first Breath of the Wild. I'm excited for the second one. I anticipate myself also enjoying that one. I really hope I'm not setting myself up for disappointment. But yeah, no. But speaking of sequels, that is what you wanted to talk about today, though.
Oh, segue. Yeah,
That's
that's what I want to talk
that's
about.
such a funny thing about segues is because I feel like segues are so much more effective when you just do them, but everybody
Right.
always calls them out.
Yeah, it's fun to call them out.
Sure.
It is. It is. It's fun. It's fun. It's like a. I mean, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get
I'm
me wrong.
a.
Like, okay, so like NPR has segues, right? But like,
Sure.
no one ever calls them out on NPR. If somebody called out the segues on NPR, I would love that.
Really?
That'd be hilarious.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm imagining you going on like a Disney tour and like the tour guide explains it like Segway, Segway,
Sure.
because this is what tour guides do. Yeah.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah. That's a very astute
Yeah.
observation, Shanae.
Thanks.
Sure.
Thanks.
Sure.
A lot of really successful podcast hosts used to be tour guides of some sort, and so it's a known thing.
That's true.
Very
Yeah.
Yeah, sequels. So basically, the whole reason I want to talk about sequels is I've been playing Fear again, and I like Fear 2. A lot of people hate Fear 2, but I like it. But it's Monolith, right? It's Monolith Productions, and it got me thinking about Monolith and the projects that they've worked on. So like, they make Blood, and everybody loves Blood,
Hell yeah.
and they make Blood 2, and everybody hates it, right? And then the same thing with Fear, and the same thing with Condemned, and to a lesser extent, the same thing with Shadow of Mordor. And I was like, these guys, they just can't make a sequel that everybody likes, you know?
Yeah.
They just can't.
Yeah.
Except for No One Lives Forever. I guess everybody liked that one. I don't know.
Sure.
But,
They can make one good sequel or an okay sequel one time.
yeah. And it's just like, I don't know. It got me thinking about just sequels in general, which I'm sure at some point we must have talked about on the show before, like as a topic. But it just got me thinking about, like, you know, what makes a good sequel and what makes a bad sequel.
Yeah.
And
I think- Oh, go ahead.
I don't know. I just figured it'd be an interesting conversation.
I think there's a couple factors into if it's going to be a good sequel or not. Because you can't have it be like 13, 20 years later, like, and it be the exact same game as it was the first time. I think that, going back to Breath of the Wild, it's been 5 years, and I know they were using some assets, but I'm anticipating that to be a good game. I think it's a good amount of time. Because the first one was such a unique experience and how organic it felt and everything else, I'm excited for it. There's plenty of games where I have played the game, enjoyed it, but it's not groundbreaking in any genre. I don't think it's like super unique. I just think it's a well-made game. Where if I see the sequel is like the exact same thing, I'm just like, I'm not excited about it. I don't know if it's going to be a good one or not.
See,
So
and
I
reused assets, right? Like, that's such a weird thing that I didn't even think about talking about in this conversation, but like typically I don't think it makes for a bad sequel, right? If you look at the games that have done it, like Doom 2 everybody fucking loves. Majora's Mask everybody loves, like I don't know. But like at the same time, like Vampire Savior is the best Darkstalkers, right? But like
Sure.
all three of those games use the same assets, all three of them, right? Uh, and now it would be weird. It would be weird if Street Fighter 6 comes out and it's the exact same models as Street Fighter 5, right? That would be weird now.
Yeah.
I don't know, like do older games get a pass?
So
Um,
I don't know.
I think it's just I think it's the length of time between the releases of them if you're going to reuse assets. But I also think
But if 5 came out and then the next year they released Street Fighter 6, you don't think that would be strange?
Yeah.
I mean for Street Fighter, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And that's why I'm comparing it to Darkstalkers, right? Because like Darkstalkers was 3 games essentially that all use the same assets.
yeah.
I
So,
never played any of those
Yeah.
games, so I can't speak upon those. But I think for like fighting games, it just really depends. I mean, Street Fighter is known to have like 17 different variations of the last game before the next one comes out.
Right.
So if they came out every other year, or that would be weird. But I also think that like if it's not gonna be like a fighting game or like reusing assets, like it's got to be like what to answer your question, like what makes a good sequel. I think it has to bring you back to what you loved about the original one, and then expand upon the universe in some way, whether it be a different gameplay style or add like a different part of the world, like with the like Skyrim series. Like it's got to be something different if it's not, or it's got to be something new added to it to give it a reason to be in the franchise.
so I've been like going like that's got me thinking like the whole reuse assets thing's got me thinking about Yakuza, because like a new like for as far as 1 through 6 was concerned, a new Yakuza game was coming out like every 2 years, I think, and like in going through those games like one after the other, like it's a lot easier to like point that stuff out, because like I'm just like, oh yeah, I saw that in the game before. Like they're like assets, like reused animations. But the thing of like in do I notice it? Absolutely. But I think when it comes to that sort of thing, like Shanae, like you were talking about how like expanding the world, or and that's kind of what it's doing. Like cause like most of those games take place in the same city, and specifically in the same section of that city. But from game to game, like shops are getting moved around, and new characters are being introduced, and new storylines are being introduced. So like, and so I guess when it comes down to like whether a sequel is good or not, I think it just depends on like what draws you to engage with that series or franchise, right? Like for me, a lot of what draws me to Yakuza is the story. Like the gameplay is really fun. I like the action, but the story is what has been like pushing me forward. So with that regard, because the story keeps getting better and better, I don't so much mind like the reused animations or the reused character models, because there are other things that are being brought to the games that are new, and like even still, they managed to introduce just enough new mechanics or like a new system with every entry that still makes it feel like it's a different game from the previous entry.
Yeah. Actually, like I really like the idea of reused assets depending on how it's handled,
Yeah.
If you look at like literally every RE Engine game uses the same assets. Like not literally all the same assets, right? But like what was the first RE Engine game? Resident Evil 7 probably? Because that was before 2 or 3 or Devil May Cry or any of those, right?
Yeah.
the mannequins that you see in the Baker House in Resident Evil 7 are literally in every RE Engine game that I've played. I haven't played Resident Evil 8 yet, but they're in both RE3 and 2. They're in Devil May Cry 5.
I'll let you know if I see them in Monster Hunter Rise.
Yeah, yeah. But it doesn't really matter, right? Like, it's a fucking mannequin.
Sure.
If they needed a mannequin, who really cares what it if it's the same model? Like, you're gonna make that mannequin model look better, I don't know.
It's also not a pivotal part of any of those games, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
But when Capcom uses the same Morrigan sprite for like 20 games, you start to notice,
But that's also a main character. So it is like quite a bit of a difference.
Yeah.
I think that if you're doing reusing assets for like Easter eggs or continuity with like world building, where it's like, oh hey, this is the same baker shop as like the last Yakuza game.
Yeah.
I think that is something like fundamentally different than a character that you can control, or even an NPC that you interact with a lot, because immersion.
Yeah. So like thinking about Monolith games, right? I do feel like I'm the odd man out with Fear 2. I like Fear 2. I think most people don't. Condemned 2, I never played, but in general, it's considered to be not such a great game.
Yeah. So I actually did play Condemned 2, largely because of my enthusiasm for Condemned 1.
Yeah.
Because and I think that the big problem with Condemned 2, honestly, is that when Condemned 1 came out, it was doing something that we didn't really see before. Like, it was like we didn't really see first-person games done in that way before, and it had like an atmosphere that and like it had a kind of an atmosphere that like I had never really like experienced previously.
Yeah.
And so those things kind of coalesced in a way, especially like around the time when that came out. Like, they kind of coalesced in a way that was just like, wow, this is like a legitimately tense and scary game. And I think that Condemned 2, I think the main problem with that game is that it took the wrong, like not all the great things from Condemned 1 to make it a sequel, and then added some things that like kind of I guess in a way like broke the tone of what those games might have supposed to have been.
See, and for me, like, that's all I can see because I haven't played the game.
Yeah.
I've played Condemned. I've not played Condemned 2, but like just looking at footage of it, where Condemned very much wants to be 7.
Yeah.
Condemned 2 looks to just want to be super edgy and like really weird,
And it tries.
The main character all of a sudden is a fucking hobo with long hair and like wraps his hands and like, I don't know. It's really weird.
They try really hard.
They watched Hobo with a Shotgun, loved the movie, and like, hey, we should do this for Condemned.
Well, and I think that a lot of games of that generation though are like really like they change in ways to like kind of match the year in which they were released, and it's kind of just like that was really there was a lot of that kind of guy when Condemned 2 came out.
But the same could be said for the first game though.
Well, I mean, I don't know about that because like
they were released like what, a year or two apart?
I think it was further apart than that. But like I think that a lot of the main character of Condemned seemed like it was really like the environments that you were in and like the stuff around, what was his name? Ethan Winters? Not Ethan Winter. I don't remember what his name was. It was Ethan something, but like a lot of stuff. Like,
let's just call him Ethan Winters.
A lot of the stuff around him was the main character, but like then the focus was really brought like tightly on him in the second one, and again they really tried to like make him more edgy and tough, and I hate to use it, but like they try to make him more gritty, and it just. And then then of course the game later goes into like a supernatural territory, and which I think is kind of which I honestly think is the thing that people would probably have had the most issue with, was that game going
I heard a lot of complaints.
going into the realm of superpowers at that point. But
Yeah.
I don't know. But it didn't feel as Condemned 2 didn't feel as novel as the first one did.
Yeah. As far as blood goes, I just we said we weren't going to talk about E3, but it kind of comes up naturally here in that Nintendo's re-releasing Advance Wars 1 and 2, right? But it's built from the ground up. So what does that mean for a fucking turn-based, grid-based game? It means that they gave it polygonal graphics now, And we had someone in our Discord talking about it, and I said, while it's cool, I feel like it's lost its soul, right? It doesn't look like it looks like everything now, so it looks like nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like that was the problem with Blood 2, amongst other things. It's that jump from 2D to 3D. Yes, Build Engine is 2D. Yes, Doom is 2D. It's faked 3D is what it is. Whereas the actual, Blood 2, The Chosen, is a 3D polygonal game. And a lot of what is lost in that translation, I think.
Yeah. And again, it all goes back to when people make a sequel, it's just, sometimes there's a lack of awareness, I think, of what was it that made that first game special, right? And what was it that really made it resonate with people? And I think that on one hand, it is good to try different things and experiment with different with different styles as far as developing sequels goes. But I think that it's also important to trying to remember the foundation of what made that game and build on top of that, as opposed to trying to completely reinvent it. Because I think that trying to reinvent it a lot of the time means that more or less you're making a totally different game. And then so you find two games in the same franchise that are related in name only.
Final Fantasy.
But can we even count that though, right? Unless it's a numbered 10, 10, 2, 13, 13, 2, can we really count it? Because those games are so different.
Yeah.
Say technically they are sequels because they're putting them in that numbered franchise. Are they I am blanking on the term. Spiritual successors. I think
it's weird to call something a sequel when they don't share the same storyline, though, right? It seems strange.
It is weird.
And oftentimes even the same universe, right? Because yes, there are things that tie them together. There's always going to be fucking chocobos and random shit like that. But
and there's really for no reasons.
There's really nothing to tie some of those games together,
Right, and it's just because when they're each in, a contained a self-contained story. Then it just the numerical designation seems more just a convention than logic, really, because because what
for a while,
because there's nothing saying if you let's say you put Final Fantasy 7 together, or Final Fantasy 7 as Final Fantasy 9, right? There's nothing in either one that indicates which one should have come first. It's just which one happened to come first, and those numbers are just letting you know which one was first, right? But the stories don't interact with each other, at least not in a way that I could perceive, that makes it necessary for makes it you're not losing out on anything in Final Fantasy 9 because you didn't play Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah,
right?
And what's funny is I guarantee you can go find some fucking Final Fantasy timeline. Probably. But I guarantee it's probably almost as bullshit as the Zelda timeline is,
nah, that Zelda timeline is real bullshit. I
bought into it. I was day one Hyrule Historia. I bought into that shit.
I know.
And then Nintendo changed it. They're oh, We know we published this and said this was official, but now we're gonna do this. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, all right, guys.
But you can keep the nice looking book.
Yeah.
It is a nice looking book.
But
But
so what? Sinead,
yeah.
go ahead.
Sorry, my brain broke a little bit, but I did want to say, I do think that you can, uh, have like spirit or fuck, my brain broke. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
I was gonna be something about spiritual successors and Xenoblade Chronicles,
Yeah.
but it's not there.
Yeah. So like, I don't know.
mean, are you like tying that to the Xeno games? And that like Xeno Saga and like all those like supposedly they're connected, but like how?
Mechs.
I've played half of one Xenosaga game.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure.
There's like some connections, and also like a lot of the Xeno games happen on different planets too. So there's all that. But yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Sequels.
I really think that like one of the exciting things about sequels a lot of the time. Well, I guess it really depends on like what genre the game is in, right? Because for me, when it comes to sequels with action games, I'm like let's say like a character action game, right? A lot of the time it's like what crazy new moves are they gonna have this character doing in this new game, right? Like when it came to like God of War, like I was just like what weird magical weapon is Kratos going to be using this time, and like what crazy like execution move is he going to do on this mythical being, right? That's the draw for
What
me.
hot babes is he gonna bone?
Yeah, I guess. But like it just depends on like when it comes to that kind of game, it's always been like, okay, well, how are they going to increase the spectacle of what this thing is? Because I think about the first God of War game back in 2005, and I was like, holy shit, this game is crazy. Like, there's all this shit happening on screen. And it's like, at that point in time, I think that my only real experience with really fast-paced, like, intense action games of that style was with Devil May Cry. And so... And at the time, like I felt like God of War was bigger than anything that I had ever seen in Devil May Cry, and like there was just so much more spectacle involved with it. And so when Devil May Cry 2 came about, I was like, how are they gonna up the ante on this one? And then I saw and then I'm fighting the fucking Colossus of Rhodes at the very beginning of the game. I'm like, oh my god, it's so like every time it seems like the main goal with these games, aside from I don't know. Aside from like advancing the mythology of that series, it seems like a big thing was how can we make this thing bigger and crazier and maybe even faster than the previous game. And I think that's probably because that is a core tenet and design philosophy behind those games is doing those things.
Yeah, and it's funny too. I'm glad that you started off that rant saying that it depends on the game,
Yeah.
Like my daughter and I were just last night talking about Life is Strange after they showed that little Life is Strange thing in the Nintendo Direct. And she's played a little bit of them. I've played very little of them. But like we were talking about when a series has the same characters and is meant to be taken somewhat seriously as Life is Strange is.
Right.
When something extraordinary happens to the same character, and then in another game something extraordinary happens to the same character, and a fucking third game again, those things become less extraordinary.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Because you expect them at that point, right?
Right.
And so it's not surprising. So like at that point you're like, okay, at that point you're like, I know that something is going to happen. Just show me what the thing is.
But like I do agree with you, like God of War, at least the old God of War.
Yeah.
Should continue to be bigger and dumber and,
Right.
that's that
Even
game's
the new
job.
one.
But
Did you
But
think
like
that
going to a similar franchise though, like Bayonetta to Bayonetta 2, I enjoy Bayonetta 2, but like I like Bayonetta 1 for the simple reason that restorative items reduce your score. That is the only reason I like Bayonetta 1 more, you know, and it has nothing to do with how giant the enemies are or anything like that. It's
Right.
just this is a points-driven game, and you're just making it easier and easier and easier, you
Right.
know?
Right. And that's the thing too, is that I think that when it comes to games like that, there are like these changes that are made, because like you're like not everybody's gonna like the changes that are made from game to game, right? That's just not going to
Yeah.
happen. And so then you get to
Nope.
then you get to the point where you're just like, well, I like this game better, and so for all intents and purposes, like you're gonna spend more time with the previous game because you just like that one better,
Right.
and so like in your mind, like the sequel might as well not even exist, because like that's not what you want to engage with. It had like the first one
Yeah.
is what has all the stuff that you like, and
I find it hard to believe a lot of people play Bayonetta for its intriguing storyline or anything like that, you know? So,
yeah.
the hair witch?
yeah.
Do you think that you would still like Bayonetta 2 if it was like the first game of the series and like Bayonetta 1 was the sequel?
Oh, absolutely. And to be clear, I like Bayonetta 2. I just think that the first is superior.
Because one of the things I wanted to point out was I think that sometimes mediocre sequels are taken as like good games.
Mm-hmm.
But that's one of the things I was thinking about, like with the sequels, is like if the first game didn't exist and I just played this game, would it be still a good game? Would I still enjoy it and like it? And
BioShock 2.
And I realized there's a lot of sequels that I give a lot more credit to than they deserve.
Yeah.
But so like when I think of games that are like really good sequels and I think that even did better than the original, I think of like Alice Madness Returns. And maybe that's just like console limitations from the first like American McGee's Alice, because I think that originally it only came on PC. And that could definitely be it for there. But I also think that there's a lot of other series that have a lot of innovations that I think like significantly the sequel like makes it better. So like I was down for Borderlands before it came out. I liked it after it came out. But I mean, it didn't have any story, and at least 2 had somewhat of a story. At least you get to hear more of their talking and more about them. And I think that on many ways, like Borderlands 2 improved on Borderlands 1 when it came to like mechanics, story, everything.
Sure.
And I don't know if we hear a lot about sequels, and I couldn't really think of any other sequels that did like I think made a vast improvement.
I'll tell you which one did. The best sequel, Street Fighter 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
You laugh, but like fighting games as we know it would not exist without that game.
No, I know.
Absolutely.
I just your love for it.
Yeah.
And it's funny, right? Because like that, but again, that's another one of those times where when you're making a sequel, you take what it is you like, you believe that game to be and try to iterate on it in a meaningful way, right? And it could have just as easily have worked out that Street Fighter 2 was just another iteration of Street Fighter 1.
Yeah.
And
that would be the logical thing, right?
You're getting some hate mail off of that comment, Ryan.
The logical thing for Street Fighter 2 to be, because Street Fighter 1 was like you could be Ryu or Ken.
Yeah,
right?
The boys.
The logical next step would be let's add a third color, because that's what games did back then,
Yeah.
Shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like, and I think that because of, and like I actually I watched something about the conception of Street Fighter 2 and listening to how they came up with those characters and how they filled out that roster and everything. And I think about like how instrumental that was in the success of that game, and how varied how varied that ended up making the gameplay for that game. And I just think that like it's so funny how like one decision like just changes the course of everything. And that, like, yeah, there were like other decisions like made along the way, but like there's always these like isolated like major decisions that can change the trajectory of a game and like decide whether or not it's successful or whether or not it resonates with people. And it's just so often that the opposite happens, right? It's so often that you get a sequel that is just more of the first thing, but like even though like people didn't even like the first thing to begin with, and then you find that your franchise is kind of just dead in the water because it's like, well, I didn't like that first game, and this is just more of that, so I have no reason to engage with this.
Since you've been on a first-person shooter kick, Tommy, what really do you think makes a good like first-person shooter sequel? Because like I get with Blood and Blood 2 went from 2D to 3D, and that like lost a lot of the like fan base that enjoyed like the first game. But like besides switching,
I mean, that's
from
among
2D to
other
3D.
problems. But as far as a good FPS sequel, I don't know. It's hard to say, right? Like, I feel like there's not a lot of them, honestly. And that's just my personal opinion. But like, I like
Because I
Quake
feel
1
like
a lot more than Quake 2. You know, I like Quake 2, but I like Quake 1 a lot more. I like Turok 1 a lot more. You know, like, I don't know.
is it just nostalgic, or do you think that, or like,
No,
is there
because I'm
anything that you
nostalgic
like?
for those games. I'm nostalgic for Quake 2, you know? Uh, I don't know. It's hard to say. Like Doom Eternal, right? I've been playing a good bit of that, and like, it's good. It's very good. But I think I still like 2016 more, you know?
Well, it seems like with all of those examples, it's just kind of a vibe thing, honestly, because like think about the overall vibe of like Quake 1, and which is like it's just like tons of like and granted I didn't play Quake 2 in its entirety, but my impressions of Quake 2 versus Quake 1 is just like they're very disparate in that way. Where like Quake 1 has like those dark corridors, and it's just got like it's just very like it's very creepy. And whereas Quake 2 of what I played is like a very brightly lit, highly explosive action game.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, with that series,
definitely
sure, like tone maybe
tone
has
and
something
maps.
to do with it.
Yeah.
But I think like gameplay as well, you know,
Yeah.
like those games don't play identically to each other. They play similar, you
Yeah.
know. Same thing with 2016 and Doom Eternal. They play similar, but they're very, very different in the way
Yeah.
that they play.
Absolutely.
You know?
But like, okay, so when it comes to Eternal, right? What are the things? Because we talked about how initially both of us bounced off of it. I have yet to return to it. But
Returnal to it.
what is something like what is it that you didn't appreciate about it before that you now appreciate about it?
I mean, I've talked about it on the show before. It's the whole thing where it's like there's a specific game that game, the way that game wants to be played.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to be successful at that game, you need to play it in a very specific way. And I felt like 2016 gives the player much more freedom, and it does. But
That's a fact.
But once you do what the game wants you to do, what it wants you to do is pretty fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's why we've compared it in the past to Bulletstorm, in that like if you play Bulletstorm the way that it wants you to play it,
You'll have a good time.
it's a fun game.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
I guess like getting like in the case of Bulletstorm, like the idea, like once you get past the realization that you can't actually play that game the way that it advertises itself to you, and you have to, and like you really have to actually engage with that game on its terms, then yeah, you have a pretty good time. And I think a lot of what detracts from that is like the frustration of fighting against it to kind of do what you want to do,
Right.
as opposed to what the game wants to do. And so that initial frustration can really color your perception of that game, which makes me wonder, like, if Bulletstorm did get a sequel, like, would it open? I think I have to wonder if it got a sequel, if it would like open up more creativity for the player.
I don't think
with the
so. I think
systems.
there'd be more props.
Yeah.
There'd be more props for you to use, and
It just becomes a real shooter at that point.
you know what? Bulletstorm would be better as a rail shooter.
Honestly, well, because like that's funny because it actually like the way the enemies come at you in that game is very much rail shooter like. It's like it is. There is. It's got a very, like, when I think about it, because I played Bulletstorm within the last month or so, and the way that those enemies assault you is very House of the Dead, but I can't help but think that I often get excited for sequels because of the fact that it's more than anything, it's my curiosity about like how do you
The franchise.
well, like, it's like how do you like what changes are you going to make it how are you going to change the game in a way that it feels like a new game, while also making sure that the identity of what this game is remains intact.
Yeah.
And that's not always an easy proposition.
I think Rockstar obviously has shown that they are good at sequels and then extending the franchise afterwards. I mean, I did enjoy Red Dead Redemption 1 or 2, but I played enough of both of them that you can see that they are a part of the same series.
I mean, in that they're both open world cowboy games.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because like that's the thing with, and that's another thing with games like that have like a that don't have like a very like defined mythos around them.
Yeah.
Is that like you can call it a sequel, but like, I mean, you change a few things around, then it could just be a totally different game.
I mean, John Marston's there.
Oh yeah, right.
So obviously,
he is the linchpin in this whole thing.
Well, you talked about differences in like tone and mood and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, Batman Arkham Asylum to Batman Arkham City, like that. The city was a sequel, but they are vastly different games.
Yeah,
they are, but City just builds off of what was made with Asylum, though.
Yeah.
The biggest difference between those two games is the scope of the
Space.
environment. Arkham Asylum is still an open world game. It's just a much smaller world.
Yeah.
It's open. It's an open air vent game. I mean, I guess like fair enough on there because you technically don't have to go like through certain routes, but I mean, beyond just the fact that it is from inside of one building to the entire city, I mean, there is a bunch of other differences and improvements on there, and I don't think it's just art style that really connects the two, and I can't really put my finger on it. Is the je ne sais quoi the game. But I do think that I don't know. I feel like if I looked at Red Dead Redemption 1 and Red Dead Redemption 2 and I didn't know the names of them, I'd be like, yeah, they're the same thing.
Well,
I would not. I wouldn't.
Like,
or Red Dead Revolver for that matter.
Well,
like
see,
none of those look like they go together.
Revolver.
Well, see,
I forgot Red Dead Redemption is the sequel.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that like with Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Revolver, like I think like the differences are a lot more apparent.
Sure.
Because like Red Dead Revolver has a decidedly more cartoony look and presentation to it. But I could also certainly see the argument of looking at the two Redemption games and like outside of like, because I think that the main thing that I think would stand out to somebody unfamiliar with the franchise is that like one of them has like better, like far better visuals than the other one. Um,
And a lot more controls. Too many
but like that
controls.
But
again.
yeah, just the way the games play are completely different.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
completely different.
Well, see, and I think that, and that's another, and that's kind of like why I've been thinking about Rockstar specifically in that way. Whereas like as time goes on, they have this like more and more they are like married to the idea of making the things in their games as realistic as they can be. With every new game in a franchise, in a given franchise, like we need to make these details more realistic and immersive, and and like there are many cases where that is to the detriment of the game. And I think that if they had been married to that philosophy a lot less going into Red Dead Redemption 2, I think it would have been a lot easier for more people to engage with that game and have fun with it. Because I don't think that Red Dead Redemption 1 is anywhere near as complicated as Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah.
I never failed at jumping on the horse, so on that point alone.
Trust me, Shanae. I have accidentally punched my horse in the face more times than I care to admit. But
PETA is on its way.
Stop punching your horse, Arthur.
And that's like that's how you can tell the path from one Rockstar game to another in like a given franchise. Like even from GTA 4 to GTA 5, like the differences are like mechanically the differences between those two games is very apparent.
But I can still see them as being part of the same series.
Yeah.
You know, whereas with Redemption 1 and 2, other than John Marston,
And that
and their open world and cowboy games,
Yeah.
You may as well throw a fucking gun in there then.
Well, that's what I was saying before, is that like when you have a game that has like such like a like there's not like a well established like real mythos between those two games aside from like a couple of recurring characters.
But I
They're
mean,
the
like
Wild
that doesn't
Wild
even
West.
matter though. Like I'm just talking about from a mechanic standpoint. GTA 4 to 5, there's a lot that carries over there. There's a significant amount that carries over there. You know, is there with Red Dead 2? Yeah, there's some, but it's I don't know, man. It's just way different.
I don't know.
Well, from a plebeian, I stand by my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't have a refined video game palette like you do, so I'm just like, meh. Cowboy, open
Sure.
world, same thing for me.
And I don't think anybody
But
could
I think-
like fault you for thinking that, honestly.
I mean, Tom could. But I do think that obviously, not just because it is Rockstar and people expect good things from them from their name alone, I think that there is a lot of things that went into like obviously making that a good sequel or a well-received sequel.
Yeah.
I think they tried to get away from it, honestly. I think they wanted it to do better numbers than Red Dead 1 did. I think Red Dead 1, as well as it sold, was a disappointment to them.
Well, I think that if you could compare anything to the Grand Theft Auto franchise, like within their own stuff, then they're going to be disappointed. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like Red Dead Redemption 2 definitely had more Grand Theft Auto features, of Grand Theft Auto-esque features than the first one did, to where I do feel like, obviously not exact same, like button schemes or anything. I don't know.
Well,
I
think that
I like that game's weird ass controls.
I also
That's one of the things I do like about that game is its funky ass control system.
well, like
Well, I just get tired of punching my horse as well. So I mean, also
Yeah.
I only played a couple hours of the game. I couldn't even get into
well,
it.
I think
so
that they both want to.
Same.
Well, it's like I think it's just the core thing is like in both cases we're looking at like just want to make this like this systems heavy world that you can kind of just like hang out in, right? And just like that's just the whole thing. It's just like make this big world with all these mechanics and systems at play, and that you can just kind of hang out in. And I think that
make saloons fun.
I think that with like each game, it very much seems to me like, you know, more of that. Like want to make more of that, and make them and build their scope on top of that. But with that being said, I haven't yet played a Grand Theft Auto game that I didn't enjoy. Um, I haven't yet played a Red Dead game that I haven't enjoyed. So, I mean, uh, I guess there's something to that. But then again, I'm also a person who enjoys like systems heavy games, and like I want lots of meters to look at, and like I want lots of like simulation going on in the background. I like all that stuff. Um,
More systems.
so I mean that's just me, but like, and yeah, like I think that like I do think that, I think that the criticisms leveled toward Redemption 2 are valid. But that being said, like after I got the hang of it, like I played the shit out of the game. I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is a beautiful game, and like in a lot of different ways. Um,
Pretty game. It's just not for me.
I'm sad that more people.
I'm with you, Sinead. Like, is it a pretty game? Absolutely. I could also just like watch 310 to Yuma.
Well, it's like when I say it's a beautiful game, I don't just mean the way that it looks. I think that like I mean like in a lot of different ways, like the story, and like the world that it takes place in. I think all of that was like really well executed.
Okay, but you knew within the first hour that Arthur was gonna die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But even then, I
still cried when it happened.
Because
I still cried when it happened, but I knew.
I still say it looks good because that's the thing that I can speak upon is like,
Right,
no, I haven't
same.
played much of the game or know the entire story, but I've looked at a lot of it. I've seen a lot of memes. Like, it's very pretty.
They did
I
a
don't
good
know.
job with those horse testicles.
That's the thing that made me want to get into the game, but I just couldn't do it. I was like,
That's how immersed they need you to be.
I think that game.
well, I was mesmerized, and I was expecting to see them everywhere, and I only saw them. And I saw the zero amount in the first hour.
That game has shown me more horse poop than I've seen in my entire life. There's a lot of horse poop in that game.
You also don't spend a lot of real life time around horses, so it would be
Ryan's
very
a Texan.
weird.
All right.
I'm actually a Texan, Shanae. So
And as a Texan,
I've seen lots of horses. Matter of fact, there's a horse right outside this apartment that I have to milk it. So,
I'm just gonna say it would be very worrying from what I know of your lifestyle if you just see a lot of horse poop but no horses.
I mean, look, in general, I see a lot of poop around, and I don't see where it came from. So
Yeah, but you know what dog poop looks like. You own a dog. Not the point though. So back to sequels. So I guess like I don't know. Like I mentioned earlier, the Elder Scrolls franchise, and from Elder Scrolls 1 to 2, and let's go for other Bethesda games, Fallout 1 to Fallout 2. I do think
let's go 4 to Vegas instead.
no.
Okay. Or not Vegas. 76 rather.
I think that like I was saying I said earlier something about Elder Scrolls, but I forgot what I said at this point. But to kind of go back to like what you're saying, you can't really see a whole lot of like similarities, and the fact that like they are all in different places or different like shelters. From what I remember for Fallout 1 and 2, it's been a very long time. I think that obviously lends itself well to having the flexibility to make a lot of changes in a sequel without a lot of backlash.
How do you feel about that? About like when a different developer comes in for a sequel, right? Because Fallout 1 and 2 were what, Interplay,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I think that it really depends. I think that if the gameplay is kind of getting stale and the new developer obviously like builds more onto it, not just like graphically, but like story wise, and obviously shows like the respect to the original developers and IP,
Yeah.
that it can really be like it can be really great to have a new team come in.
Yeah. I don't know. I never like I remember our friend Jimmy being into the first early Fallout games when we were young. I never really got into them. Uh but Fallout 3 I liked. I don't know.
Um,
It's weird though, right? Like Fear 3. Fear 3 was not made by Monolith, and everybody hates Fear 3.
so what is it about Fear 3
Everyone.
then? Like, what's the
Who
deal with?
made Fear 3?
I don't know. At that point, I'm not sure. 'Cause that franchise, that IP changed hands so many times. It was Monolith owned, and then went to WB or Vivendi, and then back to Monolith, and then back to whoever. Like it was all over the place.
I
So,
think it was Vivendi, but yeah.
Yeah.
so what is the deal with Fear 3 then? Like, what? Okay, what are the differences between Fear 2 and 3?
The difference is, I mean, I guess it's a decline, right? It's a gradual decline. Fear 1 is some of the best enemy AI in a real-time game,
Right.
right? In a non-turn-based game. Still, that game came out when YouTube came out,
Yeah.
you know? And still some of the best AI, still some of
Are you
the best
saying
lighting in a game. And this is pre-RTX or anything like that, you know?
Right.
are you saying YouTube made video game AIs be bad?
No, I'm just saying, like, that's how old this bitch is, right?
No,
Like
I'm just
that,
joking.
yeah. It is the same age as fucking YouTube. That's nuts.
Yeah.
To think that like real-time AI in a video game. I mean, I'm sure that people are going to be like, "Oh yeah, well the AI in whatever GTA 5 is better." It's not. It's not better. Like, show me how it's better, you know? Uh, so yeah, you see a dip in AI, you see a dip in you know the gameplay as far as like level design. So from 1 to 2, 1 is a lot of tight corridors. You do get some open like areas, some I don't know what you want to call them, arenas, right? But it's mostly close, like
Courtyard.
really close, tight corridors, which the AI lends itself to. Fear 2 opens it up a little bit more. Fear 3 opens it up even more, and then the story just gets worse and worse and worse from there. The lighting gets worse. You know, it's a plethora of things.
So is it like the more open the game gets, the worse it gets?
It's the worse the AI gets.
Coincidentally, yes.
Because I guess like I haven't played enough Fear to know, like outside of what you've just told me about the AI and everything. I haven't played enough Fear to know like what makes Fear good.
Yeah.
Um,
Fear's AI is like the guy who created it talks about like most enemy AI, the objective is to kill the player, right? Fear's AI, the objective is to A, complete their objective, and B, preserve themselves.
Right.
You know, they will strafe, they will go behind cover, like a lot of other AIs do. But they also know that crouching makes them a smaller target. They will, if they see that you have your gun pointed at them, instead of just continuing to shoot at you, they will run and flail their gun at you as they are running from you. You know, like Fear AI is something else.
Yeah.
And that just got worse over time. But I really think it's a combination of the AI, the lighting, the story getting worse and worse and worse.
Did it become?
That kind of still goes back to what I originally said. Is like if you have respect for the original, like vision and intention and like tone and everything, you can have a company make a better game. I mean, Vivendi, or maybe it was Warner Brothers, but I think I remember Vivendi on the box, or whomever. If they had, if they wanted to, they could have gone back to that original game and like really pulled a lot from there.
I mean, they wanted it because of how popular Fear 1 was, you know? Like, that's why they bought it that's why they bought it to begin with. People forget, before Crisis, the whole thing was, can you run Fear, you know? Fear was a big deal, but it was very quickly not a big deal anymore.
So like I guess like when my experience with Fear was like the first game anyway was like it was very much like everything I saw about it like marketed it very much as like a horror game.
Yeah, it's
Um,
supposed to be a horror game. It's not very scary, but yeah,
but
it's supposed to be a horror game.
did it become less so as the series went
Yeah,
on?
for sure.
Okay.
The first game is the scariest.
Yeah.
It's like Dead Space, you know? Like the
Yeah.
first Dead Space is far scarier than Dead Space 2,
Right.
you know? But like, I don't know. I've seen a lot of people saying Fear 2 isn't scary at all. Like, it still scared me, and I don't feel like I'm that easy to scare.
Sure.
But
Um, so I looked up who developed Fear 3 and it was Day One Studios. I don't think I am familiar with them. Anyway, it was a point of curiosity for me and I looked it up. But I don't know. I think that I think that honestly maybe that's what it was. Like not maybe I think there's a lot of things that make up a game that make a game fun, like aside from like how well it plays. And it seems to me that everything that you're saying is like there's like a very chartable trajectory for that franchise, which is just like they're trying to open it up, try to do new things. But the thing of it is like if the AI is getting worse, then it sounds very much like, well, we kind of want to take these same philosophies, but not like as far as like how these enemies act towards you and not really take into account the changing environments that we're putting in these games.
yeah. Well, I also think it's like it's striving for success, right? Rather
Yeah.
than striving for a game that you yourself would enjoy playing, which is what developers should do. It's striving for monetary success.
Right.
You know, what was big at the time Fear 2 was out? Well, Call of Duty was fucking big, so let's try to make it a little bit more like Call of Duty.
Right.
Let's make it work a little more like that, and let's make the enemies behave a little more like that. And like,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. That's a shame because
They
like
were,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Shanae.
I mean, I think we're gonna say essentially the same sentiment, which that sucks because, like, obviously, Fear was popular for completely different reasons
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
Call of Duty was popular.
Yeah, it sucks when like a game kind of like has a means of carving out, you know, a piece of the
A
market.
niche.
Yeah, a niche for itself, and but then it just like instead it just tries to conform to like another popular thing, and then
Well, and that's the funniest thing, right? Like, because all of their games with sequels developed by them, uh, it's hard to say, right? Like, I do think like Fear wasn't a niche thing. Fear was fucking huge, you know. Fear
The
2
AI
and
was the
Fear
biggest
3 less and less so. But like, I do feel like that was it though with a lot of the stuff. Like Blood wasn't huge. People would rather play Duke. People would rather play Shadow Warrior. You know, at least at the time. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's just a weird situation where this one studio. It's the only studio I could think of where time after time again they have a hit and they come out with a sequel and nobody likes it. You know.
yeah,
And I can't speak to Shadow of War. Is the sequel right? Shadow
Yeah.
of Mordor is the first one. Shadow
Yeah.
of War is the second one.
yeah,
I don't know anything about those games. I don't know if people love Shadow of War. All I know is I heard people raving about Shadow of Mordor because the Nemesis system.
The
And
two people I
then
know
I didn't hear
played
anybody
Shadow
talk
War,
about Shadow of War. Yeah.
the two people I know that played Shadow War told me that they'd rather just go play Shadow War.
Well, see,
Yeah.
like the main thing with Shadow of War, and like not even talking about like the weirdness with the loot boxes in that game. The main thing with Shadow.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, which I think definitely had an impact on how successful that game was. But I think more like what had more of a lasting effect on that game is just that like basically what they did was they just took Shadow of Mordor and just made it bigger. But in doing so, like now that game just feels like a slog to get through.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not at a certain point like it's fun for about as long as Shadow of Mordor was, but it's like if Shadow of Mordor like you got to the end of it but there was just there was just a shitload more game to do, and
Yeah.
so it becomes a chore to play at a certain point.
Yeah,
So I think that
this is
was
a
like
vessel. It's the motion of the ocean.
yeah. Well, I just think that that just was like that game's major problem is just like it gave you so much stuff to do, but it was just at the same time it was like the same thing. They just
Yeah.
wanted you to do it a lot and for a long time, and so I think that was
And
like the
MMOs.
thing with yeah, basically. Like I played Shadow of War for a good amount of time, and I got to a certain point where I was just like, I don't want to complete any more sieges. I don't want to recruit any more of these orcs. I'm done now. I'm done. So,
But the Nemesis system, Ryan.
sure. It was interesting to have all these orcs hate me for specific reasons for a while, but then I then tired of that too.
Yeah. That's funny. I guess that's it. What's your favorite sequel, Shanae?
Ooh, I don't know.
Cooking Mama 2.
My favorite
Yeah.
sequel is, but I mean, there's definitely a series where I like the sequel better.
Yeah.
The first one pops in my mind mainly because we've been talking about me and Bert have been talking about the new Smash character, and one of our friends is upset that it's not Sora from Kingdom Hearts. I think Kingdom Hearts 2 is significantly better than Kingdom Hearts 1, and even though I have more nostalgia and like with Kingdom Hearts 1, and it like as a little kid blew my mind, I'd say like 2 is definitely a lot better. I did love Batman Arkham City, so, but I don't know. I also loved Arkham Asylum too. I don't know. I don't know if I have a favorite one.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you if that Kingdom Hearts 2 was better.
Yeah, they added a lot of so
More yuck for your buck.
Sure.
it's more
Yuck
yuck
if
for
you
your buck, but they also started adding more of the kind of like uh different forms and like what they can do. And the first time I saw them, I was like, "This is the coolest thing I've ever fucking seen," because it drastically changes the controls and stuff. And that's something that I've always enjoyed from the series going on forward. There was a little bit of it in 1, but in 2 they really got it down. And 3, I think they kind of fucked up a little bit of the forms, but like I mean, started seeing it more and more in Square Enix games after 2 of like
Yeah.
the type of movements in the characters that you got in the different Sora forms and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. I think 2 is a great game.
Ryan, you got one?
Yeah, Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus.
Oh, that's so funny.
Is that gonna be yours?
No, but similar.
All right, what is it?
I was gonna say Return to Castle Wolfenstein. Yeah.
Yeah, I like
Or Streets of Rage 2.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Streets of Rage 2.
Streets of Rage 2 is a great one.
It's the best of the 3.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
guess I
actually,
should say 4 now.
you know, I don't know. I like Streets of Rage 4 a whole lot, but I don't know. I think I like New Colossus a lot. Just like it's fun. The characters are great, and
Yeah.
and there's a lot of high definition Nazi killing in that game, which I
Sure.
really love.
Sure.
So,
Oh, Shadow of the Colossus. Technically, that's a prequel, so I'm sticking with that.
sure,
Boom.
got him,
Uh,
got him.
and I know we didn't really talk, and y'all didn't want to talk much about E3, but was there anything from E3 that you saw that was exciting? You don't go into depth. I didn't know if you
Yes.
wanted to name
Yes.
like a trailer to tell people to watch or anything.
2 things. One, new WarioWare is always good. WarioWare
Yes.
at its worst is fun. You know? And
Did
while
it
this
better
looks
than
to
Mario
be
Party?
yeah, while this looks to be mostly motion control stuff, that's how it looks. That's okay. It can still be fun. This new Monkey Ball, guys. This new monkey
Yeah.
ball. Let me tell you about this new monkey ball for a minute.
Okay.
All right.
Go on.
You're getting
Monkey
1,
ball.
2, and deluxe,
Okay.
which are the only 3 good monkey balls.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
But like, it's not a port. Like, all the textures are new, all of them, and some are like. I like the new vibrant looking monkey ball. You know,
Sure.
I should say more
Yeah.
vibrant than it used to be. I like the look of it, but like, there's certain textures that are missing that I'm like, that's kind of weird. That's gone. Also, like, I really hope there's no jump, but there's a little snippet in the trailer that looks like it's a jump. I'm like, did
It's
they
probably
did they add a jump?
It's a cutscene. It's a cutscene.
Sure.
But I'm super excited for it. It looks beautiful.
Well, you know what, Tom? I really hope that this
Also, that trailer with fucking II coming out in space to the 2001 music.
Which one is II?
He's the main monkey.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The titular monkey, Ryan.
He is the titular monkey in the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
he
it's
is
just
the
monkey ball. There's
he
no monkey in the ball. Like, that's not the name of the game.
It's like Ghost in the Shell, monkey in the ball.
I mean, there are other monkeys, Yan Yan and whatnot, but you know.
And Ook Ook.
Isn't there a Lala? Or am I
I
just
don't know.
thinking at that point about Teletubbies?
I think you're thinking of Ulala from Space Channel.
Yeah, probably.
I'd like a new one of those.
Sure.
If you could get on that, Sega.
Yeah. They're working on it, I promise.
But yeah, those are the most exciting things.
My friend that I've been playing Halo with, he's been wanting to play more online, which I haven't been great. And then Berto's work is letting him borrow a graphics card, so I have mine back, so I can play on my computer again. But we're gonna sit down and try and play.
A graphics card.
What?
So I wish my work would let me borrow a graphics card. That's funny.
Well, unlike making things, they go to schools and install and repair and stuff. So they have like other ones in the back just sitting
So
around.
he's taking it from some students, is what you're saying.
I'm saying he beat up a third grader, stole his graphics card. But I'm really excited for. We're gonna go through all the Halo series. Actually sit there and talk about the story and stuff, because the first two are just kind of flipping through. Really, and so yeah, because he's super excited about Infinite, so just gonna go through the series with him and have him explain things to me.
Wait. Like, you guys are gonna play them together, like the campaigns, or what?
We've been playing the campaigns together off and on, but really I've been getting a little.
Yeah.
And then we're just kind of going through and having fun, and I'm getting lost. And I now know who the Flood is, and I just called them Squidbillies.
I love Squidbillies. That's a good show.
Just being Shanae, not paying attention to what's going on, and just calling things whatever I want to call them, as I want to do. And so I've just been doing that while we go through, and we've been and then the last couple times we played, we've just been playing online, which I don't have a lot of fun with. So, but we're actually going to go through the campaigns before Infinite comes out for the rest of the games. And you
guys should check out. There's a mod, Shanae, a very popular Halo mod, Halo Custom Edition. You should check that out.
Mm-hmm. Why?
Because apparently it makes the first game much more better now. Because you and I have talked about our problems with that first game.
Can't run.
Apparently it does a lot to fix that.
Well, I already beat the first game, and now I know the story for it, so I'm not going back.
Yeah. You beat those Squidbillies.
Yeah. Fuck them Squidbillies. I also now finally know what a Halo is.
A Halo. I'll take one Halo, please.
Were you excited for that new Halo Infinite crap they showed?
I thought it was cool, but the friend that I've been playing stuff with, he's really excited for it. So now that we got dates and stuff, and it's getting closer, that's why we're doing this stuff. He's excited. I do not give a shit, but I never knew why it was called Halo. I didn't, but now I understand the titular Halo now.
Really, you didn't know?
No,
I don't even play those games, and I knew.
I am almost impressively unobservant sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
Halo.
I mean, I
Cool.
wasn't being intentionally obtuse, but I guess I kind of was. What about you, Ryan? Have you seen anything that you're hype about? Are you liked?
Yeah. I liked that Redfall game that got shown off. That game looks real neat. For
I
like,
don't know what that is.
it's something about look. You're fighting Draculas,
Ah,
and there's also a cult that worships these Draculas, and
mhm.
it's a cooperative first person shooter. Um, and it looks real neat.
Hmm.
Um, Back for Blood got shown off again, so I'm excited about that. I'm really excited for Back for Blood to come out. Um, and isn't that going to be cross-plat?
We don't know. We know
Oh,
that the beta that's coming out in a couple months is, but we don't know if the final game is.
yeah. Well, either way, I'm really looking forward to that. Um,
I like
and
that shorthand cross plat because it just sounds like cross platypus in my brain.
like, I have all these rules, Shanae, about what I can and can't say around you, so I can't be bothered with it anymore. It's cross-plat, okay?
Cross play. Yeah. So if you pre-order that now, you get access to that beta.
Yeah. Um, Elden Ring looks real cool. Looking forward to that one. And yeah, I can't really think of anything else. I'm sure I saw
Oh,
something.
Gloomwood. Gloomwood looks
So,
awesome.
which one is that?
Gloomwood is the new David Szymanski game, so it's like they're calling it
Banshee.
like so for all the New Blood games, their fucking website names are hilarious. So like Ultra Kill was Devil May Quake, right? This one is they're calling it Thief with Guns.
Sure.
So if you like old Thief, it's like that.
Hmm. Hmm.
It looks rad.
Stalker 2. That's another one. Stalker 2 looked cool.
Did you like Stalker 1?
No, but uh, but also like Stalker 1 for me was I was like this like everything just looked muddy and gray all the time,
Yeah.
and I didn't dig that. But
Stalker 1's real good. Real
um,
good.
but
You
also
got, you got the
also like I guess maybe I'm dumb. Maybe, probably. But like I was just like
maybe.
but the entire time I was playing Stalker 1 I was like what do I do? What's going on?
Mm, yeah.
Who do I shoot? So there's a lot of that going on for me. But Soccer 2 looks real neat. Um, so I'd like to play that. Also, they did show. I think they showed a trailer for Atomic Heart, and I've been interested in that game for a while. But I think that's it, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, did y'all have any closing thoughts for the show or about E3 or anything?
E3 is kind of weird with how it is now, but that PC game show was really cool, and Nintendo's was pretty good too. So I
I
liked
like
it.
Nintendo's. Um,
And then I won't be here next time, so I'll see you guys in like a month, I guess.
Well, that's okay. I'm gonna stow away in your suitcase, Thomas.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't worry about me.
um, I'm gonna be my new address that y'all both don't know,
Sure. I don't even know your
and then
current
just
address.
ghost, and then just ghost.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, might as well, you know. If that's what you want to do, Shanae. So you don't have to worry about me saying cross-plat anymore. You don't have to worry about me saying things are Gucci. And by the way, I'm still
I
saying
forgot
it.
about that.
I'm still saying it. So,
The cross plat thing, I just wanted to bring up cross platypus, but the Gucci thing, I
Here
really
we
do
go.
fucking hate that one.
Here we go.
she's just like this. Shanae's got some kind of dictatorship over language now. Okay. But that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Because you know what? You know what? That's okay. My final thought for the show is I'm going to say whatever I want forever. Okay? Because you can't say shit to me, Shanae, because Juneteenth is in 3 days and you have to be nice to me all day. So take that.
Do it?
I want a written apology, Shanae. On Juneteenth, you have to write me an
I'm
apology.
sorry for banning you from saying
Yeah.
Gucci.
Yeah.
The ban still stands.
Trying to take-
Also,
But I'm
I
sorry
think
that I had to
I
put
think you
put
should
each-
also apologize to Ryan about having those dolls when you were a kid.
Yeah, actually. Yeah. I think about how
At
many.
first, I thought you were talking about my porcelain doll collection, which I had. But now
Yeah,
I realize
porcelain
I had
babies.
the
Yeah.
Monchichis.
Yeah, you had
The
those
Yeah.
The Monchichis.
racist ass dolls that you still defend.
Can I get my parents to apologize instead? Because I didn't buy it.
That would be hilarious. I would
Sure.
love that.
Yeah, I want a video apology from both your parents.
Hey, Dad, can you just say I'm sorry and then just have him say that and just edit in like what he's saying? Sorry.
I would.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go watch that episode now.
Guys, if it's on June 19th, message Ryan to apologize.
Yeah. I want an apology.
You can find us on most podcast apps. You can apologize on Discord.
You can apologize on Discord. Oh my god. That's
Or
awesome.
Instagram. But bye, guys.
Bye.
You guys are fucking